Hello, and welcome once again to the Dukes of Gaming. We come to you every week live on YouTube, live on Twitch, and thereafter on podcast services of your choice to discuss the latest in gaming news from around the globe. My name is Ben. I'm the Duke of Design, senior narrative designer at Cloud Chamber, working on the new BioShock, but I do not represent them in this capacity. I only represent myself. Do not ask me about the new BioShock. If I told you anything, I'd have to kill you. Along with us, we got the Duke of Education, Alfredo. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I love the spooky intro. Didn't know if you meant to do that. It is October though, so loving that.
Did I come in a little hot?
It came in a little hot, but that's totally fine here. Respect.
Excellent. Alongside the Duke of Education, we have the Duke of Rocket League. Can you still call yourself that legally?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm going to have to be the Duke of Blank for a little while. I reclaim my championship throne.
It's in your background, though, so I think it's fine.
It is. It's just weak. It's just a weak title right now.
What's your rank again?
I don't even want to talk about it. It's like I'm Diamond 3, which is like I'm like only a few wins away from champion, but I've been in Diamond 3 for like 2 or 3 months now. I hit champion live on the podcast, or not live, but I let y'all know the week I did it, which I was on the verge for like 3 months. And
it was a long time coming.
And I just peaked, just like the stock market. I peaked, and it's just been down. I've been in a bear market. It's been bad.
I mean, you can't really get much higher than championship, so right?
Just give
or
up.
Can you?
No, you can't.
You should just delete Rocket League from every device at this point. You're not gonna.
Just champion.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just because I hit the pinnacle, kind of, and I'm like,
you got nothing to shoot for anymore.
Well, actually, there is. So there's Champion 1, Champion 2. Right. Champion 3, and then there's Grand Champion, which honestly, like if I hit Grand Champion, I'd probably be done, because then you get the tag. So under your name, when you're in a room of people, you have season 16 Grand Champion, and it's always there forever. So
Ooh.
that's
the elite. That's the best of the best. Those are
That's
the
the
people that
crown
play
jewel.
1,000 hours a day.
Exactly.
So you'll never. You got kids. You can't compete with them.
I mean, he could, right? He could. It's just to be a lot of neglected.
You just have to forsake all of your your life responsibilities and just really go full bore.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it's within your grasp.
It is.
So
there.
I mean, maybe
it's
not
yours
anymore,
to take.
but
It's right there. Oh, dang.
Well, what a week it's been. I can't pretend that it's been a week chock full of news, but it may have been a week chock full of games. What have you guys been playing? Alfredo, let's start with you.
with me, I was not expecting this.
Sorry,
I've been playing 2 games. Oh, you're good. No, I was just, it's fine.
I jumped you.
I've been playing 2 games. So the game I've been playing that I first want to talk about is going to be pretty unexpected for me. I've been playing a mobile game, guys. And this mobile game is something that Cole actually mentioned a few weeks on the podcast. And I was like, mobile game, I'm never playing that.
Was it Sideswipe Rocket League?
No, it's not. I would never, Cole. But I have been playing. It's too low for me. I have been playing a game called Marvel Snap. So if you remember, Cole, you were talking about like something came out. I think it was like another. I think it was during the Disney Marvel presentation showcase that they briefly showed this game. It was called Marvel Snap, and it is a card game. Basically, it's one of those like deck builder card games, much like Hearthstone and Gwent and all of that, but with like a Marvel flair to it, essentially. So it's exactly like those games. I think I haven't really played those. I played a little bit of Gwent in like The Witcher 3, but maybe like just a part of the required playing, and that's it. But I decided to play this game because I like Marvel in general, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna give this a try. Also, I like other card games, but that are more like in the realm of like Slay the Spire, like those types of card builder games. So not really PvP games, but just card deck builder games that you put your card down and it's kind of like a Yu-Gi-Oh style tournament. I like those types of card builders, and this game delivers, guys. I have spent way too many hours on this game that I would care to admit. This game came out, I want to say on Tuesday, and I have never been hooked on a mobile game ever.
Phenomenal reviews.
Do they have reviews? I didn't even
look. I just Googled it because I totally forgot about this.
Look,
9 out of 10.
I didn't
9 out of 10
Google it.
Steam. Like the Google Play Store and App Store's got good reviews. Like
Look, when I tell you guys that this game is a good game, what makes this game so good is that it dumbs down the complexity of other card deck builders.
Is this everything I asked for? I've been asking for this for a year on this podcast. 2 years probably.
It's a simple version of Gwent and Hearthstone that you don't have to think too much, but still requires a bit of strategy, a bit of, thought, but not too much. They don't require the world for you. And the best part about this game is that every single match takes about 3 to 5 minutes to be done. That's it.
I'm sold on this.
So it's very quick, but in that, it gives you the feeling of, just one more game. Because the matches are so short, I find myself continually being like, one more game, and then 30 minutes will go by, or an hour might go by, because I just keep playing, because it's so fun. So basically, as far as like the actual game mechanics of this game, how it works is that you have cards, and each of them have different power levels associated to them, and they each like cost a different amount. So there are 6 rounds basically to every game. And during each round, you get however many energies are associated with that round. So if it's round 1, you only get 1 energy. If it's round 2, you get 2 energies. 3, you get 3 energies, and so on and so forth. So every card will have an energy, basically requirement attached to it. So to put down like Nightcrawler, you might have to he might cost 3 energies. So as long as you have 3 energies, you can put him down. If you have 4 energies, you can put a 3 energy card down and a 1, or a 2 and 2. You can mix and match basically. So you can put down however many cards will add up to however many energies you have. So sometimes you could put multiple cards down. The higher energy cards obviously have higher power. And what's really cool is that each one of the cards have special abilities to them. So Nightcrawler, for example, he can teleport, right? That's his power in X-Men. But he can basically, there are different fields on your game board. And normally when you put a card down, they have to stay there for the entire match. But Nightcrawler's power is that he can teleport. So you're able to move that card at any point in the game one time in the entire game. Another card might be, it might power up if you have Quicksilver, another X-Men person. I like X-Men. He's always in your starting hand because he's super fast. So it's normally you build a deck and everything's random, but for Quicksilver, his power is that he will always start in your starting hand because he's quick. So every card does something different, and you can build basically your decks to complement the superpowers of each Marvel hero or villain that you have in your deck. What is also really cool about this game is that there's a bit of RNG randomness to it, which it takes a bit of strategy and a bit of luck in order to win. Because basically, I briefly mentioned that there are 3 different fields, basically card fields in the entire board. Your goal in this game is to win 2 out of 3 of the fields on the entire board. So basically, you want to put down enough cards to be able to have a power level that beats the power level of your opponent on the other side. Getting a little complicated, but all you need to know is that it's really simple. All you got to do is upgrade your power levels and put down your cards on the field in a very Yu-Gi-Oh style format. So you put your card down, there will be a cool animation depending on who you put down. Like if it's Cyclops, he'll shoot beams out of his eyes. There's really cool animations for each character. There's special abilities that really fit the Marvel Universe. It's very quick games. I'm loving these games so much, and I think everybody should play it.
Nice. I just downloaded it.
Yes, download it.
Downloaded. Got it right here.
The one caveat I will say, though, is that obviously this is a free-to-play game, right? And it has a battle pass. It's got a battle pass.
Look, how much is a battle pass? Is it for like a certain amount of time, like Fortnite?
It's basically the same exact model as Fortnite, right? So you have a free tier and a battle pass tier, and you get.
I'm not against that. Because here's the thing: these games, as long as it's not like trying to sell me, hey, put $5 in, put $5 in. If it's like $10 battle pass, $15, $5, whatever, and that gets me everything that can get me for the next 6-8 weeks playing this game, and if you play it a lot, I think it's so worth it.
Yeah,
and it supports the devs, and it's clear, like you don't have to keep dumping money in. You know,
I agree. It's definitely it's a much more honest system than the loot boxes that were kind of sweeping the industry.
And it puts you on the same. It puts you on the same level playing field too. Like instead of just constantly throwing $20. Yeah, that was absurd.
Definitely. I mean, from what I've experienced as far as the Battle Pass, because I'm pretty far into the Battle Pass because, like I said, I played this game way too much. And I don't think, the paid Battle Pass is worth it at this point because they really don't have much that you can't get for free, which is a good, a good indication of a Battle Pass done right, in my opinion. I've been able to get all the cards that I wanted for free, even though basically when you level up and contribute to your XP meter for the Battle Pass, they basically have milestones where you don't get a specific card rarely, but rather it's a random card. So you get a mystery card, and it could be any card out of anything. So a lot of the rewards are basically, you can upgrade your card. And no, that doesn't mean that you make it actually better. It just means visually when you have it in your deck and put it down and just want to look at it as a collector's item, it looks a little different. So basically you go from a basic card to a frame break card to a 3D, it looks like it's popping out a little bit more. It might have a serrated edge. It might become animated when it's at its higher tier. So that's how they upgrade the cards, which I agree with. It's just, I'm not much of a collector. So for me, the Battle Pass doesn't make sense at all, even though I really, really, really enjoyed this game. And like I said, I'm getting everything out of the free tier of the Battle Pass, so I can't complain.
So this may be a really dumb question with card games. do you log on and then you see like your collection of cards, and you have like a big collection of cards?
You can.
There's and that's always part like of the reason to play. Isn't that part of the reason to play, to collect the cards? I mean, besides the strategy part.
I mean, for me, the part of the game is actually I enjoy playing the game. I don't enjoy like the card collecting aspect of it. I do enjoy like getting a new card and seeing what new ability it has and seeing if I can make a new deck out of it. I enjoy that part, but not so much the collection aspect. A lot of people do enjoy that part though.
This is like my gaming prayers answered, because I've been wanting this game, and y'all been telling me about Yu-Gi-Oh, which I don't even know one single character from this. And then you've been telling me about even Pokemon I don't know much about. And then what was the other game y'all are trying to get? Oh, Hearthstone. They're all characters you don't know. So like now you got a card game that's like a good onboarding to card games, and it's a Marvel, which I like. You know, it's like that and Star Wars are very recognizable to me. So I think this is awesome.
Watch you play this game and just be like, this is nothing. I can't do it. It's terrible. I've been praying for this game for years, and now it's here. It's my nightmare.
Hey, at least GTA 6 won't do that to me.
Yeah, right.
Right. I think both of you guys actually will like it, and I'll be excited for next week when I hear how much you've fallen in love with it and are addicted to it. So,
can we play each other if we want to?
I'm pretty sure you can. It just does randomized match, but I'd be shocked if there wasn't like a friends list or anything like that. I haven't looked into it. I've just been playing randomly.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, so addicted to that game. Second game I'm addicted to, it's been a very good week for me, is a little game that I spelled wrong right here in the on video if you guys can see it. It's called A Plague's Tale Requiem, which is the sequel to A Plague's Tale Innocent. So Amicia and her brother Hugo are back at it. It's a third-person adventure stealth game, basically. So think much more like Dishonored, basically, like that type of game, but in the third person. It's kind of like that. That's the best way to explain it. And all you need to know about this game is that, like the first game, there's a lot of rats, there's the plagues happening, and you are traveling to these very beautiful locations, honestly. Beautiful locations, grimy and dingy dungeons all over, trying to basically, once again, find out why this plague is happening, and also to maybe save your brother, because that would be nice. Because you play as his sister, Amicia, as the main character, and you're traveling along with Hugo to all these different destinations. So this game is the third-person adventure narrative story-driven game that I've been waiting for all year. I will be shocked if this game does not win story of the year, like narrative game of the year, honestly, because the way that they tell a story and have it flow and really just have the story beats hit beat after beat after beat. Like, I can't even tell you guys, like, it's so hard to talk about this game without spoiling it, because there's a lot that happens to this game, and it builds off the first one. So it's a lot of spoiler territory. But when I was playing like the first few hours of this game, I was getting like Uncharted 2 vibes, where, you know, it just hits and it keeps going. Like, there's never a dull moment.
I was gonna ask you just about like the type of sequel that this is. Like, there's a type of sequel where it's like, here's the first part and here's more of that. This is part 2. And there's the type of sequel that like uses the foundation of the first one as a springboard into the stratosphere.
Empire Strikes Back.
Totally new. Yeah, sure. Empire Strikes Back. But I think Uncharted 2 is actually a good example, where it's like Uncharted 1's like sets this solid framework, but it's not this amazing game in its own right. And then Uncharted 2 springboards off of that into a new kind of echelon. What kind of sequel is this?
Unfortunately, it's more of the former, the first one. Where
but the story's just better, is what it seems like.
That's the thing. Like, the thing that is so amazing about this game is its story. The story is very good, and the character development is pretty unrivaled in terms of any game that I've played this year. They get their characters right so well, and everything seems believable. The performances that are put on by the main cast are so good. I'm very, very, very impressed, very drawn into them. They make an escort mission, basically, because you have Hugo, the little brother, around. They make the escorting mission not feel like an escort, like you actually care about Hugo and stuff, which I also did during the first one. So they were able to, I would say, definitely put that on a higher level this time. And make it feel like, oh, like I'm with you, like I'm on this adventure, like I really care about what's happening to every single character in this story. And the villains is pretty cool. Now, the one thing that prevents this game from being an Uncharted 2, right, to be launched into the stratosphere, is unfortunately the gameplay. And I feel like that could be said from the first game as well.
Sure.
So as far as the gameplay, it's kind of more of the same, unfortunately. But, you know, it's a sequel, so they tweak some things here and there. So the combat is better than the first game, right? In the first game, the combat was pretty bad. Like, you had very, very, very limited combat options. The upgrades that they had weren't very good, basically, and it was pretty simple, right? They didn't really have much there. This one does expand on the combat options, which I'm very happy for. Like, Amicia can actually fight back. So when enemies are coming her way, she can actually, like, stun them by hitting them with her sling instead of just like, oh no, they're coming, and then you get caught, game over. This time you can actually fight back limitedly. But stealth is first and foremost in this game, so you can only do so much, which is fine. I do wish that now Amicia later, she does get like a crossbow, so she doesn't just have a sling and rocks. She does have unlimited rocks still, but she does have other weapons at her disposal, which is nice. I feel like they definitely took like a big part of this game is that you combine different alchemical elements together and make like fire or like rat poison or whatever. That's still here in this game. It's pretty much the same exact thing. They might have like one additional thing you can do, but basically combat is very, very the same with a few different tweaks. And there is definitely the hindrance of you wanting more combat wise, and they just don't give it to you. I hope they do for the trilogy, but we'll see. That said, it feels like I'm 2 hours maybe from the ending, so I probably will have more thoughts on this, but I would say just play this for the story, guys. It's so good. It's on Xbox Game Pass. Unlike the first game, it doesn't, like, you don't have to force yourself to play it because the combat is so bad. This one, like, I'm like, okay, the combat is good enough that, like, I wanna see this through from my story, and I'm not gonna stop. So, highly recommend. Can't wait to finish this game, and it is very high on my Game of the Year list. Simply for the story.
I was gonna shout out the Ben's book club we did on Plague Tale Innocence, but we never released it.
That's true.
That was a really good one.
Why we didn't? So we should do that since the second one came out.
Yeah,
I can't remember, Cole. What were your takeaways from Plague Tale Innocence? Is this something that you want to check out?
Only if it's free, honestly.
It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, I liked it kind of in the beginning, but the rats and stuff were just gross and like it really turned me off. And the puzzles just got so obnoxious with the rats. It was just clunky and awkward. And then, like, I don't know. I thought the story was just okay.
How are the rats in the sequel, Alfredo? Are there even more rats?
There's more rats, Cole.
Is there any tornado rats?
Not yet. And I'm almost at that. Well, so funny you say that. So the rats, there's a lot more rats. And when I say a lot more rats, there's like, the first game, there was like 100 rats on screen. There's like hundreds of thousands of rats on screen this time. Like, I kid you not, there are thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, maybe not hundreds, but
so the rat tech is just incredible.
Yeah, they are. Think of what's that zombie movie where they climb on top of
World War Z?
Think of that, but rats. The rats do that in this game now.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. But
so lots of chase sequence with floods of rats chasing you. It's pretty cool, actually. But if you don't like rats, you probably shouldn't play this game because it will be gross for you.
Yeah.
Maybe amp yourself up with the first game, Plague Tale Innocence, and then, this game might help you get rid of your rat OC or fear, maybe, or heighten
probably,
it.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the two.
It'll probably inflame it.
Right. It's one of the two. Who's to say?
Team Asoba has some unrivaled rat tech.
Exactly.
But cool. This is one that I feel like this is one that I should get to before the end of the year. This seems like a game that could be a dark horse game of the year kind of contender, especially in a pretty quiet year aside from the beginning of the year. We'll see how the year wraps up as well. I think the Callisto Protocol might also make my list, I hope. But yeah, we'll have to look forward to that with our Game of the Year discussion sometime in December, maybe January. I'm not sure when that'll happen. Cole, what have you been playing this week? Or should I just skip you? Sure, you're
no.
You're not really a champ, so I don't know what I'm even asking.
Skip him.
Since we touched on my Rocket League game, we'll pass that. No, I've been playing a little bit more Goat Simulator with my kids, which I told y'all about. Goat Simulator 3 is coming out, and actually today we were watching trailers on it, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty awesome. It comes out in November 18th, I believe.
Nice.
But oh, really? I didn't know it so soon.
My kids were screaming today because, I'm on the fence whether I should let them play this game or not, but they've been enjoying it so much and they laugh so much. But anyway, so my little boys were playing this today, and I was helping my wife in the garage, and they're coming in there screaming that they had turned the goat into a giraffe, and I was like, I didn't believe them at all.
What?
I didn't believe them.
Even after the sacrificial,
right?
That whole incident,
yeah.
Still letting them play.
I know I am terrible, but so anyway, I was like, y'all, there's no giraffe in the game. It's Goat Simulator. It's not. There's no giraffe. But so they filmed a menu, I guess, where there's mutators, and you can turn your goat into a giraffe. It has a jetpack. There's a T-Rex, all kinds of crap. So they were right, and I was just like, oh my gosh, couldn't believe it. And we played with the giraffe, and anyway. Another game that they've been into is this game, which is the opposite of the Marvel Snap game. It's like the classic dump your money into like play, basically pay to play. It's not even play to win; it's pay to play. You can't really do anything unless you buy. There's like 5 different currencies. Oh, it's a Jurassic World game, and you fight dinosaurs. Like you raise these little dinosaurs, and you can fight them and stuff, and you feed them things.
Unethical.
Yeah, it does. You're seriously pitting them against each other in these little arenas.
It's terrible.
It is. Anyway, we've been playing with that, like collecting dinosaurs, and there's like 7 different jewels you have to get, to keep it going. It's a terrible game, but my son likes looking at the dinosaurs, so we just dabble in it. But I haven't been playing much. I want to play. I really, really want to play it, and this week I'm gonna spend a few nights on it. Is Ghostbusters, Spirits Unleashed? I think it's
yes.
Is it Spirits Unleashed?
Yep, 4-player asymmetrical game.
Yeah. Sanctum of Slime was the one I was getting at. That was the old one. That's like a top-down perspective. But yeah, this is the from the same. I forget the name of the developer. Ben, you probably know. It's the ones that did the Friday 13th.
Yeah,
it's
escaping me, but yeah.
Me too.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're doing the Ghostbusters game, and it got really good reviews, and people, especially Ghostbusters fans, which I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, love it. So I want to play that. Fredo, if you want to stream it with me, I feel like you would like that game.
Yeah,
it's on Game Pass. It's free on Game Pass, I believe.
Well, that I didn't know, so I would definitely be there.
Oh.
Just to answer your question, IllFonic is the name of that studio. And we do have a question for you, Cole, in the chat. Talking about Goat Simulator, the question is, have you played any of the Just Cause games? Since it's similar to Sandbox, maybe.
No, that Just Cause 2 I played a lot of. Just Cause 3 I missed out on. Just Cause 4 I went back and played. And something was up with I think I talked about this on the podcast, the weird muddied graphics like really turned me off on Just Cause 4. I don't know why, but Just Cause 2 was incredible. I played a lot of that game, and I thought that was that PS2, right? Or PS3?
Oh, it's been a while.
Anyway, the graphics were really great when Just Cause 2 came out. But my kids don't. It's too complicated for them. The GOAT game is the reason we've been playing that is because they just go forward and back, and honestly, it's helped them learn how to operate the camera. Yeah. So like now, my 5-year-old can operate the camera and recalibrate, which is awesome. It's great. Mm-hmm. I probably should be letting them play Mario 64 for that instead of Goat Simulator, but here I am.
Or actually, Cole, I played just for you. I played the Paw Patrol Racing Mario Kart game on Xbox Game Pass.
I heard it was good.
I played it. Your kids should play it. Yeah. I was smoking those puppies.
Smoking
terrible
those
game, but your kids will like it. I played for a while. I played for like an hour or two, so it was a while.
Hey, by the way, I think I was wrong about. I don't think Ghostbusters is free on Game Pass. So maybe I was wrong about that.
It's okay. It seems worth it. We'll make it happen. But what about you, Ben? What have you been playing?
I have been playing Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. You guys know I've been chipping away at this game really bit by bit over many years at this point. It's a game that I just like to come back to from time to time. I kind of really play it. I get really invested for, play 10, 15, 20 hours, and then I put it away. It's a very long game, so it does kind of suit itself to that. And also, it's a game that I kind of would like to. I kind of have it in the back of my mind. Maybe I'll platinum the game one day, but I definitely don't want to do it in a way that I'm gonna hate the game by the time that I'm done with it. And this is a game where there's a lot of grind and there's a lot of repetition of missions, and in a very kind of Hitman style, you're trying to perfect your execution of certain objectives and missions. So it's just, I mean, it's hard to say anything new about Metal Gear Solid 5 because it's such a talked about game, but I will say that nothing has scratched the same itch since. It seems like maybe the sniper games that could be a contender. I haven't played those games, but the level of polish,
I just don't think those have near the level of polish.
That's what I was gonna say. Like this level of polish, this level of fidelity, and the level of flexibility in the systems here, I don't think anything has really touched this in such a this kind of military sim, but really actiony and fun and a bit immersive simmy in a way. It's just really good shit, and it's hard for me to put it down when I get invested again. And then I'm in another Metal Gear Solid 5 cycle right now, and I am approaching the end of the story. I already know what happens in sort of the conclusion of this game, because
you got spoiled.
Was just I knew that I was going to take my time with the game, and I was like, I just want to see like why people hate the story, or why people say that this is the weakest story of all the games.
Do they hate it? I did not know that. What?
Yeah,
didn't they hate it a lot because it was very hands off? Like you go hours and hours in the game with not getting much at all compared to the old ones.
You mean like Cutscene Simulator?
Right.
Yeah, it's not that.
like MGS4, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a big contributor. I think a lot of the missing links of like what the hell is going on. So you'll watch these cutscenes and you'll be like, what the hell is going on? Very Death Stranding. And a lot of the missing pieces, and actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, like Death Stranding really delivers a lot of its narrative in much the same way, but the linking tissue is not as missable as it is in MGS5. You have there's no necessity to listen to all the cassette tapes in the game, even the ones that it highlights for you as like must listen to type stuff. You don't have to listen to them. There's no need to. So you do end up missing a lot of the stuff that would have been in the codex conversations, the codec conversations in the previous games. So yeah, you're doing very gamey missions that are interrupted very, very irregularly by a cutscene that'll advance the story in some way. So yeah, it feels a bit hollow in that regard. But when you listen to all the cassette tapes, a much more fleshed out narrative takes place, and it's much more substantial that way.
I hate it. I hate it already. You guys know I hate games that require you to go around the levels, find the cassette tapes, find the in-game lore, and then read the newspaper saying, "Oh, this is what actually happened." Just tell me. Just tell me.
MGS5 is a little different in that every time you beat a mission, it gives you cassette tapes. You don't have to find them. There's no barrier to entry there, where it's not like.
But I still have to read them though, or listen to them, right?
You have to listen to them. But this is the thing that I love about it. They're audio diaries. So you just go into the menu, you select a menu of cassette tapes, and it like sometimes it's just one tape, and sometimes it's like a succession of like 3, 4, 5 tapes that it'll just play in a row for you. And you just go play the game while you listen to them. So it's like listening to a podcast while you...
Yeah, see, that's awesome.
That is
so
cool.
That's something that I already love doing. Like I love popping in an audiobook or a podcast while I grind out something in a game. So doing the same thing where I'm doing this very repetitive task where I'm trying to perfect my infiltration in a mission while listening to the lore on cassette tapes actually works very well in terms of my being able to actually understand and internalize what's going on rather than just hearing it and forgetting about it, you know. So I really enjoy that. Shout out to Game Catharsis. He's the one who got me back into MGS5 this time. He's in the chat because he had a little contest on his channel he was raising points in order to get him to twist his arm finally to play MGS5 because I've been telling him to play it for so long. He's a big Kingdom Hearts fan, and I'm like, well, if you love the bullshit of Tetsuya Nomura, you're gonna love the bullshit of Hideo Kojima.
Hey, those are not mutually inclusive.
At least you don't have to listen to cassette tapes to understand what's going on in Kingdom Hearts. You just have to read things on the internet and watch YouTube videos.
Just play 5 minutes.
Anyway.
Or listen to Dukes of Gaming.
Yeah. We'll break it down for you.
Right. Well, that's me. So let's move on to the news. Silent Hill is back. Speaking of Hideo Kojima, 7 years after the heartbreak of Konami and Kojima's breakup and the end of our last hope of a Silent Hill game in the form of Silent Hills, Silent Hill is back. Konami has rekindled the franchise with a Silent Hill broadcast. What was it? The Silent Hill transmission? Is that what they called it?
Yes,
transmission.
Exactly.
In which they announced...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, in which they announced 5 new projects, 3 new game projects, and 2 new film TV projects.
Yep.
So, yeah, Alfredo, I'll kick it to you.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say. Apparently, this is normal. Silent Hill transmission is a long-standing thing, or at least that's what they made it seem like during the live televised thing. So I think they're trying to make Silent Hill transmission a thing from now on, and for the foreseeable future. And we're gonna be getting more consistent updates as to what is actually happening for each of these games. But exactly how Ben is saying, yeah, they did announce a ton of stuff, actually. And the biggest thing that they announced was Silent Hill 2 Remake, which we had rumors about, this game possibly being remade. And there were also rumors about the developer, which were confirmed. And the person who is making, or developer who's making this game is the Bloober team. And they are, the people behind games like Blair Witch, The Medium, Layers of Fear, all of those first-person horror type experience. The Medium was a third-person horror experience, but for me personally, before we get to any of the other things that they announced, just hearing Silent 2 Remake is coming, awesome. I know that people, love that game from the bottom of their heart. I haven't played it personally, but I love horror games, so you best believe I will be playing this game when it comes out. Now, what is concerning is, unfortunately, the developer. I know that they have a history with games, horror games in specific, that don't really come out to huge fanfare. They have much more of a cult following, and less of critical of fame. So when Blair Witch came out, for example, it was filled with bugs, super negative reviews. Layers of Fears haven't had the best reviews either. They've been okay games. And then The Medium was also an okay game. So I'm a little bit concerned with, this studio that doesn't put out, top tier games and just goes on the okay kind of scale of things. And they're handling such a big project like Silent Hill 2, which is huge, and I'm just afraid that it won't reach the heights of a game like we got with Resident Evil 2 Remake, because that was amazing.
That's the high watermark that they have to reach.
Exactly, sure. And I don't have the confidence that they can hit that mark like Capcom did, unfortunately. But we'll see. I will cross my fingers. I hope that I'm wrong, but I do think that their track record speaks for themselves. So we'll see.
Silent Hill 2 is one of those games that people hold up in a way. It's it's one of those kind of genre defining games for survival horror, and I feel like since Silent Hill has receded so much in cultural relevance compared to Resident Evil, that's gone away a little bit, but people still kind of point to Silent Hill 2 as this wow, this is really what you can do with psychological horror in a PS2 quality game. Imagine what you could do if you pushed this idea further. So I've still never gotten to experience Silent Hill 2. I had considered playing the PS3 port of the game, but everything online told me not to, that it's an inferior version of the game. So I held off, but I've long wanted to experience what's so great about Silent Hill 2. Cole, have you played it?
Yeah, I played it at launch, like in the middle of all the hype. And I remember playing it in my bedroom when I had this furniture. You remember the old furniture TVs from the 80s?
Oh, you mean like
you know what I'm talking about? Like it's like a piece of furniture console with a TV in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we had one of those. It was in my bedroom until I graduated high school. It was like the best performing TV ever. It lasted my parents like 30 years, and I still played games on it.
The OLED of the 90s.
Yeah. So I remember playing Silent Hill 2 on that TV, like sitting Indian style on the floor, and I remember being so scared I couldn't hardly do it. Like, and I don't even remember that much about the story, but I remember like the fog, like there was like blinding fog you couldn't hardly see, and then like the sound effects and stuff. It was awesome. And I don't think I finished the game. I think honestly because I couldn't do it. Like scary video games are really tough for me for some reason. I don't know why. Like that PT, Fatal Frame. I played that back in the day. But Silent Hill 2 was incredible, and it was like this zeitgeist when it came out. So Ben, you're right for sure. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I wish that they would just push forward whatever PT was and just keep pushing forward and not worry about the past and just let it be. But then again, Resident Evil remakes kind of did change my mind on that. But yeah, I want to. The other one is called Townfall, I think.
Yep.
That looks like that. Maybe that's going to be like what is in the spiritual vein of PT. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Have you guys played anything by the studio No Code? I played Observation actually with my wife.
What games have they made?
Observation is the only thing. Stories Untold is the other one. Yeah. So they're not a well-known developer by any means, but Observation was interesting. It took place in a space station, and you played from the perspective of like the AI in the station. So you were
I remember that. Yeah.
You were controlling all the characters, and you were like telling the human companion that you were with to do certain, or like trying to help her navigate the space station or whatever it was. That one for me was one that felt like it had a lot of potential that just kind of never went anywhere. But it was a real slow burn, kind of tense game, and they got the atmosphere really right, I think. So I think there's definitely some potential there. The strange thing is that like really the headline news here is the Silent Hill 2 remake, and everything else is kind of this, to me at least. This, yeah, it's a side project or spin-off, and there's these new games, Townfall and Silent Hill F, which we'll talk about next. But there's no new mainline entry. There's no Silent Hill 5 or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think that Silent Hill F is supposed to be that for them, is what I would assume, because Townfall does seem to be, truly the side story where it's more PT, more experimenting with, a first-person perspective, possibly, something like that. But Silent Hill F does seem to be going more in the direction of a mainline entry, because in the trailer that we did get, it was, we got the classic fog, but the really cool thing was that it wasn't set in the United States, which all Silent Hills are really. It was set in Japan, which is like the really exciting thing, because now you're talking about Japanese horror, which is a little bit, a lot different from American horror. So maybe you're right. Maybe it isn't supposed to be a mainline because it is, Japanese horror, and that's very different.
Yeah, this does have we don't know much yet, so you're right about that. But the F titling and the I guess F could turn into 5. Although I don't know how many Silent Hills there have been.
F. That would be 6.
No, but I mean F for as F.
Oh, I got ya.
Hey, game Catharsis in the chat said, "Think we'll get any yokai style monsters?" And I read it as Yoshi style monsters. I'm thinking it's in Japanese. It's gonna be like Yoshi style
monsters.
I think anything's on the table, honestly. If it's the game set in Japan. So I don't know. I feel like we will get, what was that game about the creepy classroom? That horror game, It was pretty popular. That came out like last year. I think we'll get more along that, where it's kind of like The Ring type of vibes from Silent Hill F. I think
we'll Silent Hill the game where like you're going through the school and it becomes hell like over time. Is that Silent Hill 1?
I think that's Silent Hill 3. With I think that's 3. I could be wrong.
One of them it like starts deteriorating and like you enter into hell over time and it's crazy. It was pretty cool.
Well, I can't wait for this game. But actually, the one that I'm not as excited for Silent Hill 2 remake or any of these as I am for Silent Hill Ascension.
You would be. You would be.
You know I am. So
it actually does sound cool.
It sounds cool.
Yeah, it does sound cool.
What it is it's like how they explained it was that it's an interactive style horror experience that brings together like the community. So like think of what I got from it was like kind of like Twitch, like when you're watching a horror game experience and you're all contributing to the story is what they said basically. And what's really cool is that they said that like there's no reset button in this game. So they're telling a story, you help make decisions based on this interactive experience, and you basically see what happens and you experience horror together. And why I'm so excited about it is because you guys know I love interactive horror stuff in the first place, but Behavior Interactive is involved in this project, which is the makers of Dead by Daylight. So I love that game. So I'm excited to see like what all these studios coming together, because there's other studios too. There's like a movie studio called Bad Robot Games.
Which is interesting. This is going to be their first game, or this is their first game that they've publicly talked about, and they've been around for a long time. I think like 5 years at this point. I used to see their stuff, like their job postings and stuff, when I lived in the LA area. So they've been like working.
Bad Robot Games.
Yep, Bad Robot.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yep. Yeah, they've had a game division for quite a while now. Yeah, so it is interesting that there's 3 studios working on it, and GenVid, who also worked on The Walking Dead, The Last Mile, a massively interactive live event, kind of tells you might tell you a little bit about what this is. This is this collaborative multiplayer-esque storytelling experience. It's funny because like this is the type of thing that I used to talk about when I was a kid. Like, imagine if you went into the movie theater and everyone could vote on what happened next. Like back, it's kind of the fruition of that almost quaint idea. You
should have patented that idea then. You're just getting taken advantage of.
Damn it! They stole it. They stole my idea.
Yeah, but I mean, absolutely. And I think we've previously seen ideas like this come to kind of fruition, exactly what you were talking about, but more on a smaller scale for games like, what's that game? Dark Pictures Anthology. So everything that Supermassive Games is doing with their horror properties, they started that. They started where, they saw that people like to play games together and vote on decisions. So in The Quarry, their latest game, they released that mode where you can literally invite 8 of your friends to watch this interactive movie, and you guys could each vote on, okay, what decision does the character make? So I hope they take that to the next level with what they're doing with Silent Hill Ascension, because I would like to see it, more fleshed out than just voting for something. But I think we will definitely get something along those lines, right? It'll just be, I don't know. I'm going to be pissed if like I'm in the 20% of one who wants to do one thing and then everyone else picks something else. And then there's no reset button. So you just got to go with the flow.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting for sure. I'm excited for that.
There was another, what do they call it? Supermassive game that, it was the like detective, mystery, Hidden Agenda. Yeah. That made a whole mechanic out of like getting people to choose the wrong thing.
Yep.
So like you would have
you did it with your cell phones.
You did.
You did it with your cell phones. We tried it. And I tried to get. It was me, my brother-in-law, my wife, my other brother, and his wife. We had like 6 people there, and everybody lost interest after like I was trying so hard to make this work, y'all, and everybody kept talking. And I
that's
was like,
okay, Cole.
Pay attention. Okay. Everybody missed. I was like, everybody missed the prompt. Y'all missed it.
Hey, I made it happen, Cole.
Michelle's like, Cole, it's over. It's done. Nobody wants to play.
Any consolation, I made it happen. I made my sisters play play that same game. We did the same thing, and eventually we played for like 3 hours straight for one time. We all had a great time, but I could tell it was very high tensions at the end because we played that mode and we were yelling at each other, being like, "No, they're lying, they're lying." And then like it turned out that because it reveals who's the actual liar after you guys make your decisions, and like the only person we didn't accuse was the one who actually was it. So we were like, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't play this game." It's getting too real.
I played it too with my wife and our cousins, and we like played those kinds of like the board game kind of version of that kind of stuff where
it's called That's You.
Yeah, That's You is one of those games. Yeah, where it's this bluffing kind of mechanic where you got to get people to choose the wrong thing, that type of stuff. So there was no acrimony, but I will say, had they had a more interesting story, like, you know, had this game been Until Dawn with that mechanic, it probably would have taken off a lot better. I think the story itself and the framing itself, I mean, like, I like that the hidden agenda idea kind of worked with the cop drama, but the cop drama was, you know, it just was like not quality enough to be its own interesting in its own right. You know,
definitely.
We were invested by the end, but that was because we were playing it and we were making choices, and that we were there for it. But just like getting somebody to play with it, play with you in this game.
That's the hard part.
Not knowing anything else about it. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's just not interesting enough in its own right.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think they went the right direction. Supermassive now, like getting these high-profile actors, and now you can say, "Oh, look, Brenda Song's in this game. You should play this with me," or something like that. So I think that's how they're trying to get people, not like us who aren't into gaming, to get into those types of experiences. But hopefully, maybe we'll see. I don't know, who's the next star you guys want to see with this new franchise, Silent Hill.
It's got to be someone who's like a little bit washed up.
Who could it be? I guess they could get
some Disney Channel. Josh from Drake and Josh. Get
That's a good pick. I was going to say
Hannah
that
Montana, the girl that played Hannah Montana.
Miley Cyrus is too high.
No, that's not Miley Cyrus. It was Hannah Montana. You remember her?
Yeah, Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus.
That's the other one. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. No, I was going to say get the guy from Arrow. Like, he's not in anything anymore.
Oh, yeah. Stephen Amell?
Good shot. Yeah,
for some action scenes, it'll be great. Anyway. We got off on a tangent.
Anyway.
But, yeah, Silent Hill's back.
Yeah, Silent Hill is back. The last announcement from Silent Hill is the new Silent Hill movie by the director of the original movie. There was a second Silent Hill movie, Return to Silent? No, that's the name of the new one. There was a different one. Silent Hill Revelations, I think it was called. That was not worth watching. But the first one I've always felt like was almost great.
You watched it?
The first movie, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty darn good for what it is. Like, it's one of the better video game movies in existence because there aren't very many.
I was looking at the Metacritic for it because I was like, interesting, and then it was like, 39 on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, oh,
is it 39? I thought
it was something like that. Let me verify this.
That might be the sequel. The original one is just called Silent Hill. Revelations is a turd. But
let me check. Oh, okay, I got it. Silent Hill, Rotten Tomatoes, 31.
Is it really
the original? But a 63 audience score. So,
okay, yeah. It's not great. I won't say that it's a great movie, but it could be great if it was handled. It was very schlocky, so I think they could get away from that and have a good psychological horror film on their hands.
Well, let me ask you a question. As somebody who has seen the first movie and the second one, what do you think about them literally taking the Silent Hill 2 story and making it into a movie? Because they have confirmed that's what they're doing. They're not making an entirely new movie. They're making Silent Hill 2 remake as a game, and they're taking that same exact story and making it into a film. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that strikes me as a safety kind of move because the franchise is in a reconstruction phase. It's been gone for so long. And Silent Hill 2 is by far the best regarded entry of the series. So I know that people talk about Silent Hill 2 as a again, like, it's a genre defining game and the narrative is part of that. So it might be able to prop up a film, but I haven't played 2, so I don't know how good of an idea it is. I think the original Silent Hill is like a fairly faithful remake of the narrative of the first one. But again, I haven't played the games at all, with the exception of PC. So I don't know how close it is.
Dang, this is making me want to go back to PS2 and actually play these games on like an emulator or something.
Yeah, I wish they were available on the PlayStation service, on PlayStation Plus. I would definitely play them.
Sounds like we won't have to wait too long, to be honest, though. What I'm thinking, maybe like 2 years. Maybe we'll see these games in end of 2024, like around Halloween for the remake is what I'm thinking. But could be 2025.
Cool.
Here's to hoping.
Here's to hoping. Well, that's all for Silent Hill. Let's talk about something else that's scary. Like cloud gaming. Oh, Gotham Knights, actually. Gotham Knights is also scary. So yeah, Gotham Knights. Let's talk about the landing with a bit of a thud. None of us have played it, actually. The reviews were enough to scare us off because we were all feeling like, hey, I want to dive into this. I was looking forward to, I knew it was not going to be an Arkham game. I knew it wasn't going to be an Arkham game. I had my expectations, I think, appropriately set. But
I didn't.
But I didn't. The through line with the reviews for me that really turned me off from getting this game was just the mundanity and the mediocrity, I guess, of the core gameplay loop. That's something that is hard to surmount. I love Batman stories. I love the Bat Family. I love watching those like Warner Brothers animated movies for DC. Like I like that shit. So I was like, okay, I might like it just for the story, but I don't really want to subject myself to the repetitive and boring content in a pretty empty world in order to experience that story. At least not for $70.
Yeah.
So that's the through line that really kind of that turned me off from getting it. What about you guys?
I did, well, as you guys know, if you listened to the podcast last week, I kind of did a 180 this week because I was all for it, right? I was like, I'm getting Gotham Knights regardless. I was so confident that I wasn't going to get below like a 7. I thought it would land around 7, 8, somewhere around there. Then the game, started getting 4s and 5s, and that's what really scared me. It was that. It wasn't getting like 6 and 7s. I might have done it if it was that, but when I don't know, when it's getting scores as low as that and you're asking for a full $70 price tag, like Ben said, it's enough to scare you off. And I am excited to still play this game. I will play this game, but I think I'm going to have to wait until a Black Friday sale to win it, $30 at least, in order to give my fair review of it. But I think it's fair to say with a Metacritic score of 69, which is higher than I thought it would be, considering like when the first reviews started dropping, it was very, very, very low. So it got up there toward the end of the week, toward now. But yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Well, I was disappointed because I was actually like, all right, I'm gonna give this a shot. So I was like, okay, Alfredo's on board at least. So I write in our group chat, I was like, Alfredo, you down to stream Gotham Knights? He was like, no, I'm passing. Terrible scores.
Got to bounce.
And I was like, that deflated my balloon. I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna pass too. But I was looking forward to it, especially playing with a friend. I thought it would be, how could they really mess it up? But a 70% is not that bad. This game feels like it's got a 40 Metacritic, the way people are talking about it.
It did initially when reviews were first coming out.
They were all over the map, though. That you'd have somebody would have a 90, and then you'd have a 5. IGN gave it a 5 out of 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I noticed were more of the reputable sites were giving it lower scores.
Yeah, exactly. Like GameSpot gave it a 4, IGN gave it a 5,
and a bunch of websites that I never heard of gave it 90s.
Yeah.
So
maybe they're just paid off.
That's I don't mean to to focus too much on the credential aspect here, but it's not that those people's opinions don't matter, but it's, I don't know. I never heard of you. How do I know?
I mean, it wasn't just the scores, right? It was that combined with what the reviews actually said, because what they actually said was, in addition to them citing boring combat, they also said that a constant frame rate was very was not being able to be achieved on PS5 and, well, any system really. We already knew from me and Thomas's extensive talk last week that this game would not have a performance mode on consoles. It wouldn't hit 60 frames per second. It would be locked to 30 FPS, which is fine as long as it was consistent. And it wasn't even consistent. People were getting frame rate drops down to like half of that, 15. And I think that in and of itself is enough to warrant, okay, when the patch comes out, hopefully before they launch their 4-player arena-style co-op next month, hopefully they'll have a patch which makes the game better to get rid of some of those bugs and make it more stable. But yeah, I got cold feet.
Here's to hoping. What do you all think about the future of WB Montreal? We know, of course, that Warner Brothers in general, due to their parent companies and the switcheroos there, and the real, I guess, lack of like desire to invest in the game space from who owns them now? AT&T?
WB Montreal?
No, I mean WB
right.
in general. Yeah, so it's not just WB.
Discovery, I thought.
Is it? Yeah. I think they just they were just picked up by somebody new fairly recently. So maybe Discovery has a different opinion of the game's space, but it wasn't. It's not. This doesn't just apply to WB Montreal. It applies to Monolith and to NetherRealm, and not Rocksteady. Yeah. But these other studios pretty routinely put out good games, and WB Montreal put out 2 games in 10 years, and
yep, crazy.
One of them was the worst regarded Arkham game, and this one is not well regarded either. And the only other things they've done is like some support work for Arkham Knights DLC and some support work for I think Mortal Kombat. So I don't know. What do you think this means for the studio? Does this doesn't seem to bode well for them?
I feel like it just means all support work from now on. No more games, maybe. I don't know though. Who knows? This game could turn out to be good in 3 or 4 months if they optimize it. Maybe put some time into. I don't know. I feel like it's just going to be mediocre, and that's all this game's ever going to be. It's not like it's a game that's as a service.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard to fix, much like Avengers, right? It's hard to fix when your gameplay, like the actual fighting mechanics, isn't fun, because that is the basis of your game. Like, that's its foundation, and you have to have a good foundation to build on. So it's not like, I don't see them in 3 or 4 months fixing the combat to where the combat suddenly feels like it feels like everything is impactful. It feels like everything lands, because those are the main critiques of like the combat. And I don't see that going away. I don't know. I don't know how to answer the question of where WB Montreal goes now, because this, like you said, this is the first game we got from them in like 9 years, I think it is, or something like that. And we waited all this. It's been in development all this time for this. And apparently, we can't say because we haven't actually tested it, but apparently it's not very good, to the point where it's not worth 9 years of development.
So you do gotta. I want to give some credit to them for Arkham Origins. I thought that was really good, and it's my second favorite of the Batman games, behind Arkham City. Like I put it above Arkham Knight. I thought it was awesome. So I mean that was, I don't know. That was a good hit. I thought. I think they did pretty good with that one. But how did they mess up the combat? Like, why? This series has such good combat. I mean, I don't understand how they messed that up. I mean, this is the new age combat system that Arkham, the WB invented. Like, how come they can't just pull it over, tweak it a little bit, and boom, you're good?
Yeah, I don't know. Again, we're talking out of school a little bit here because we haven't played the game, but it seems to me like this is a case of like not wanting to copy, leading to an inferior product.
Exactly.
When they could have just iterated on the existing combat system from the Batman games and made it better. By all means, keep it in the Arkham.
Keep it in the family.
Yeah, keep it in the Arkham verse. At the end of Arkham Knight, Batman is done too, right?
I mean, don't change like what Spider-Man copied the Arkham combat to a T and did it great.
Yeah, they really did.
That is the Arkham combat. Like,
of course, it doesn't feel as weighty like Batman, but they made it their own. It's still a copy and paste job, kind of, but it feels good, and maybe don't fix what's not broken. Yes.
Exactly.
But like I said, I will be playing this game, and give me like a month on Black Friday. I'll pick it up, and I'll probably let you guys.
I'll play
know,
with
hey,
you too. Yeah, I'm down for that.
I hope they support it and try to resuscitate it a little bit. I mean, like, we live in a brave new world of video games where it just takes a little bit of confidence. It just takes a little bit of publisher investment to turn a bad game into a success story, right?
Exactly.
It's not. I mean, it's hard work, certainly, to change the things that are fundamentally wrong with your game that you pushed out in the first place, right? But what I'm saying is that, like, it's possible. It's very doable. There's a model for this now. It's not a one-shot thing. It's not just No Man's Sky.
Right.
There's plenty of circumstances in which games have come out and they've been a joke, and now they're not. Cyberpunk is the most recent example. I think we are in the revival of Cyberpunk officially now with the renewed interest that Edgerunners has given it.
Right.
And the game is keeping people because it's fixed enough and it's good enough now, and there's more stuff, and it's interesting, and there's new DLC coming. So, like, just have a little confidence. There's no other Batman game out right now. There's not going to be for a while. So invest in it a little bit. I think that's...
Well, I mean, we'll have Rocksteady's game. I mean, that's not a Batman game.
But it's a Suicide Squad game. It's not like, it's not even as close to a Batman game as this game is.
Right, exactly. Hey, I'm just saying, in a year's time, maybe give us a performance mode. Maybe fix, the frame rate, and then I think people will be largely happy with those two changes. Just do that, and let's take it from there. Also, actually come out with a 4-player co-op after you fix your bugs in your game. Then we'll be happy. But yeah, I am looking forward to playing it, and I will have an update on this game for you guys in about a month's time. Can't wait.
Excellent. Now, as I teased earlier, now we're ready to talk about cloud gaming, and we're ready to talk about Netflix. So Netflix has announced that they've acquired a 5th gaming studio, a game developer, and they're really wanting to invest in the video game space and also in cloud gaming, a cloud gaming platform. This is hot off the heels of Stadia's demise, so I think we can confidently say that Netflix is not getting into this space because of the success that they've seen from Stadia. However, they are still interested enough to carve out a space here, and I will say too that I mentioned this to Alfredo before we started. I've definitely been taking more interest in Netflix's games offering recently. It's gone from this is nonsense to, wow, there's some good games here, like, pretty quickly. It didn't take much. Moonlighter, Into the Breach. I played both of those games through Netflix. And there's some other, lesser known or maybe better known in the mobile space games that they've got. Actually, Oxenfree is another one too, which Night School, they own that developer now as well. So yeah, Netflix is strong arming into gaming a little bit. They've said that this is the cloud gaming platform is intended to be a value add to the existing Netflix subscription, which is hopefully they can sort of sidestep the real issue with Stadia, which was the model, the business model, not the tech, but the business model. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing the tech working for Sony, for Microsoft, for even for Stadia, the tech was great. Nintendo too. Well, sure. I mean, but does it work?
No, it doesn't. I tried it.
So yeah, what do you all think about Netflix is getting into gaming and this cloud gaming push?
I feel like Alfredo's gonna be against it, and I'm gonna be for it. I think it's genius because didn't this why Netflix just fell so much on the stock market? Like, they basically just reached their peak. They've reached a point where they're not going to grow anymore. They've tapped out on users as far as they're as big as they're going to get in the streaming world. But video gaming makes way more money than the movie industry. We know that. Video gaming is the most lucrative industry in all of entertainment by far. So why not? They already have the user base. They have this. They're the king of streaming. Why can't they figure it out and crack the code? What if they just pop an ad on everybody's thing? Hey, we offer gaming now. check it out, whatever, play it with a remote or whatever. Hey, try these games with your phone. Do you want us to send you a controller? We'll tack on $24.99 to your bill. We'll mail you a controller. You can play Call of Duty, Madden, NBA 2K. Boom. It would be massive. Massive. And Netflix would immediately, if they tapped into that, they could be the future of gaming. Like, remember when I told y'all that I texted my buddy and I was like, Google just won gaming. I was like overreacting like crazy.
Flash cut.
Hey, this may be it. Netflix may be doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually agree with you, Cole. I think it's a good idea. What I am scared about is that, so Ben, you're playing, I think you mentioned you play like something like Moonlighter, right?
Yep.
Currently the way that work is that you have to download these games. Is that how it is? Okay.
Yep, you download them to your phone, and it's only available. Games are only available for mobile right now.
Okay, cool. So what I'm concerned about, of course, is lag. From when Netflix does say, "Hey, we have gaming, and mail me my controller," how it will really depend on if their tech is up to snuff, if they're able to support if I click a button and it happens, or if it happens like a second later in NBA 2K or whatever. I feel like that will make or break them. Like if they're able to actually nail down their tech and reduce their lag as much as possible before they start screaming from the top of the world, we're doing gaming and we're doing it right. But
they could do something like Stadia had their that performance test or whatever. Maybe they only roll it out to people that they have the data that they know that their internet can handle it. You know what I mean? Like if they have the data that says, hey, this person has over a 30 Mbps connection, they can handle it. So let's put the ad to them and roll it out to them first, which is probably most people now. Mm-hmm. But like if it's as good as Stadia, if you're not a gamer, I don't know that you can tell. Like if my brother were to play Madden with a Stadia, he would just be like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible! I don't have to have. You're telling me I don't have to have Xbox? I don't have to pay $500 and go get it and hook it up, or PS5, and I get the same graphics." Like those people don't. The general audience does not know. It's just the hardcore gamers, and the hardcore gamers aren't going to be streaming on Netflix anyway.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but I guess that begs the question of again, we come back to okay. Netflix is investigating gaming. We know that they're doing some indie games, right? But as far as their own game studios, what are they coming out with? Is it going to be the interactive game stream, like interactive movies? Are they doing that? Are they doing things like Hidden Agenda? Like, what are their actual games going to look like, I guess? Because when we think about Netflix's fan or Netflix's subscribers, it's people who largely... I mean, I guess there is a cross-section of gamers and whatever, but they need to be able to give those game-like experiences for people who aren't into games. So what exactly does that look like?
I think they go the same model that Game Pass and the PlayStation Premium and that everyone uses in streaming, Hulu and HBO, all these different platforms. They just license out, make deals with developers and just put their publishers put the games on for a few months and cycle them out. All third-party stuff. Maybe invest in some first-party studios, but that wouldn't pan out for a long time. Which I could see them doing because they like to do that with their movies and TV shows. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah.
No. Just to a point on the latency issue, Alfredo. To some degree, this is an internet connection issue. So it's like if you have a internet connection that can sufficiently stream 4K movies on Netflix, you're gonna have no problem streaming video games.
Yeah, you're right.
You're just gonna have no problem streaming video
games. See, you guys say this, but you also I'm gonna ask you a question. Have you tried Nintendo's cloud services?
I haven't. However, you can't stream 4K video on the Switch.
That's true.
It's not built for high fidelity streaming the way that other systems are. And it also, before the OLED Switch, you couldn't easily do an Ethernet connection unless you were. No, was there even an Ethernet in the?
I don't. In the OLED there is, right?
In the OLED, but not. Yeah. But before that, it wasn't. So you couldn't have a wired connection.
Yep, exactly.
And I can't remember if you can even do a 5 gigahertz connection on Switch, or if it's just 2.4.
I'm not sure.
So anyway, high bandwidth is not like a thing that Nintendo cares about. So yeah, like it's no wonder that the streaming option on Nintendo isn't very good. But I've long said, I mean, like the one on PlayStation is perfectly playable. Apparently the one on Microsoft or for Xbox is really good. Stadia was good. So if you have the the 4K tier of Netflix, then you're gonna have no problem with the streaming service, and that's what they should do too. They should start this until they refine the tech a little bit better. They should start this with a subset of the viewer base that has the stuff to be able to has the internet speed to be able to support it, because otherwise the story of this thing is going to be, oh, it's so laggy, it's unplayable, whereas
which is probably millions of people still.
I'm sure it is, but again, like this is, like they said, this is a value add thing. This is not something that's going to become a new tier on Netflix. It's something that's going to be bundled into the existing tiers in some way. This is to give you less reason to unsubscribe, right? Which is what they want to avoid, because they have the subscribers already. They just don't want to lose them,
right?
And yeah, I mean, like there's a way they can thread the needle here too in making certain types of games that allow streaming more effectively, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. And this new studio that they're opening is headed by the former executive producer on Overwatch. So I think that that may or may not speak to what kind of game that is, but I think that likely speaks to the fact that this would be a AAA game at the very least, regardless of what state that takes. So yeah,
that does get me excited. Just hearing that, they have somebody a very well-known game like coming over to them.
So Game Catharsis in the chat says something pretty interesting. Let's see, where is it at? Okay, will this domino into Hulu gaming, Disney gaming, et cetera, et cetera? Which wow, honestly, it probably would.
Oh God.
Well, and then when one of them figures out, like, hey, this is the future, Hulu may completely sidestep and go mainly gaming or something, once they figure out how lucrative it is.
Yeah, I feel like Disney still doesn't really get video games, and they don't really intend to get video games.
How do they not? There's so much money. Like, how do these? How have they not figured it out? It's like a hidden gem.
I think they're starting to, because they did have the first Disney Marvel showcase. It was terrible, right? It was terrible. If you guys watched it, it was terrible. Right. But they're starting to actually be like, hey, let's look into this gaming thing that is lucrative. Let's see what's in there and get our foot in the door. So I think in the coming years, we might see a Disney Plus gaming if, we start doing things right. And Game Catharsis makes a good point. They had Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is a great game so far. It's literally Animal Crossing, but Disney. It's great.
But
and it's in early access too.
But who made it?
I mean, I'm not sure about that, but I don't think it matters, because they can just, like Cole said, they can just, at this point, like Netflix, they can license out their really popular properties and be like, hey, make us a good game. And
which they've been doing a good job of with like their Marvel properties and
like the thing is, the problem with Disney, this is the Achilles heel. The problem with Disney, and this may be something that they could overcome if they wanted to get into a service-based games offering. The problem with Disney right now is that they have to work with outside publishers. It's not that they have to work with outside developers. If they could act as their own publisher, that wouldn't be an issue. They could just publish all of their Disney games and bring in new developers to do licensed games for them, essentially. But they don't even have a publishing arm, so they have no real ability to get games to market. So they have Lucasfilm Games, which is this kind of like sort of rekindling of what LucasArts already was. They shut down LucasArts when they bought Lucasfilm. But Lucasfilm Games has to work with EA in order to get any games out, or Ubisoft, or Quantic Dream, some other publishing arm, in order to get these games out. So then it complicates the relationship where it's not just Disney and a developer. It's Disney and a developer and the developer's publisher that are all, so like this harms your ability to make any money from this stuff. And Netflix is going to have games that they already do have games that other publishers have made. But I think the real money-making potential is in developing games in-house, right? And having things that are exclusive to your platform. That's where this is going to get tricky, is like working with outside publishers and retaining exclusivity. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Second-party relationships happen all the time.
Yeah.
However, for starting a new, like, I mean, we already looked at what happened with Google. Google could have made something like that happen if they had the desire. I feel like Disney has even less desire to make something like that happen.
Yeah,
with second party relationships and getting exclusives and bootstrapping a service worth paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't see Disney specifically getting into that sort of thing. Maybe HBO Max is actually the better argument because they already have WB in house
and Cartoon Network.
And, yeah,
Cartoon
right.
Network games
Adult Swim is its own publisher too.
Yep.
So they already have publishing a pretty substantial publishing arm actually in WB. So maybe there's a point to be made there, but
I could see
I think you will.
Though. I could see like Disney doing that and actually investing it if, like Cole said, if Netflix like does it and does it right and sees that it's going well for them. I think that we could unfortunately start getting into the realm of
domino
plus gaming.
I mean,
the domino effect.
So what does this mean for the gaming landscape? If this, let's just say it did take off and like Netflix, that's where people played Modern Warfare. That's where people played Madden, 2K, all these big game, Destiny. Like, I mean, what does that look like for the consoles? Like, does that
what's
kill
funny
the
is that
console a lot?
funny is that this is
that's
not
a weird
happening.
World.
Netflix is not getting into games because of Netflix. Netflix
Yeah.
is getting into games because of Game Pass. So
Yeah.
I think that
exactly.
the fact that this whole like the tenor is being set by a video game company, and the runner up for game subscription service is PlayStation, even though it's not apples to apples comparison there. It still is. I mean, like if you count the subscriptions, we don't even know what the subscriptions for PlayStation Plus Premium and Extra are yet. But if you just counted the prior subscriptions to PlayStation Now, it was already the biggest cloud streaming service. So it was definitely the runner-up in game subscription service. So the pace is still being set by existing game companies. That's the point that I'm trying to make, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, so I don't think it will be as big of a seismic shift as if like Netflix just kind of came in and swooped in and just changed gaming, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be competing with companies that have been ingrained in video games for a long time. So the landscape is changing already. Game Pass has made that inevitable, totally inevitable at this point. Microsoft's going to do it by hook or by crook. But yeah, I wouldn't worry so much about it in the sense of like these new upstart players coming in. Although like that's great.
But I mean,
New Blood is great.
What if it does though? Like, what if they do take off? Like, what if what I'm saying is 3 years from now, you're looking at Hulu has big players. You got GTA 6 is on Netflix and like all this. I mean, what if that's in the realm of possibility in a few years? It really is.
I mean,
probably
I
not
don't
for GTA 6, but
not GTA 6, right?
I don't know though. Maybe though.
I mean, the tech still has a lot. I feel like a lot of ways to go before we get like the big AAA experiences on cloud. But like we said, we could definitely have those indie games. We could have AA games on there. I don't know. I just feel like we're still in the early stages. Like I feel like we're still in the 90 stage of the internet, basically. But for streaming, specifically video game streaming, we're getting there. It's good enough. But for a lot of people and real gamers, it's not their preferred method, right? Because unfortunately, even if I do have a good enough experience or a connection, if I can support it, I'm not going to pick the stream one game over, me having a console-like experience because it's not as good. It's just not. And unfortunately, there is like a negative connotation right now between cloud gaming because it's not for real gaming. You can't really play like Overwatch and like the real games on cloud streaming, but maybe it will get to that.
My wife said something to me last night that's funny. It's very relevant to this. We were sitting there and we had cleaned out the garage and we had all my old DVDs and Blu-rays there and stuff. And she was like, you remember when every time on Black Friday we'd go out and you would be like, I would want to buy. She'd want to buy a movie. She was like, "Well, let's just get it on DVD. It's cheap." I was like, "No, we can't get on DVD. No one's gonna be watching those things. We gotta get it on Blu-ray because we'll be future proof. That's all we're gonna be watching. It's in HD. and now they're just worthless. Like,
hey, a Blu-ray looks
I thought I was future-proofing myself by getting all the Blu-rays.
They look good, Cole. You didn't make a bad purchase. Stand by your decision with pride.
I haven't even looked at one in years, and streaming just took over. That's it.
There it is, and soon to hit gaming as well.
Yep.
All right, what's next, Alfredo? I can't remember. God,
you don't want to guess and be wrong?
Yeah, right.
It's over. Life as we know it is just going to be all streaming and on shitty platforms.
It's all over. Thanks, Microsoft. Speaking of Microsoft, Microsoft plans to create an app store for mobile. Now, the way that this is being talked about is that it is going to be something of a rival to the App Store and the Google Play Store, which are obviously the dominant storefronts in the iPhone and Android ecosystems. Now, we don't really know much about this yet, except for the fact that Microsoft already has a thriving store on the PC and on the Xbox. And
thriving?
you wouldn't agree? So the reason I say it's thriving is because of Game Pass. Because it's all linked in with Game Pass. So if you're using Game Pass on PC, you are interfacing with the Microsoft Store. So whether or not you're buying your games there, you're still using it.
Right. So unfortunately, I have had the displeasure of actually using the Microsoft Store before Game Pass even came up, because they had, before even Game Pass existed, certain games were only available on there. For example, Phantasy Star Online 2. When that launched, your only option was to play it through their Play Store, basically, to download it and to do all of that. And the experience is just terrible. It is so bad, guys. They have a whole bunch of UI issues, or at least then they had a whole bunch of UI issues. It was ugly. It didn't look nice, and it was complicated. You can't just press a button and say play, basically. For certain games, you have to update them continuously. There's no auto update. There's just a lot to it, and it's not optimized, and it seems like there's just not a lot of care to it.
But Phantasy Star Online 2, that was like 10 years ago at this point, right? Was this the Games for Windows Live days? Because Games for Windows Live was terrible.
Look, it was partly the game, but that wasn't the only game that I had to use their Play Store to do it. It's been multiple games with that. There was another game, I want to say, I forget what the game was. I think I have tried it for Dead by Daylight on there. Terrible. I've tried it for, I want to say, at least 5 games on there. Every single time I had a terrible experience. Just for being able to actually download the game and then being able to play it without having all of these extra issues. Whereas with Steam, nice clean UI. You download it, you play it, there's auto updates, everything is there
it's no
for
Steam.
you.
That's for sure.
It's no Steam. And I don't know. I'm just a little bit hesitant, I guess is the word, around this news thing, is how, Microsoft's going to come and play with the big boys, Apple and Google, when they can't even get their current app store right, I guess.
They can thank Epic Games for opening the door for this, right?
Yeah, I mean they can, but is it
because before the Fortnite thing, they didn't even think it was possible to put an Xbox game store on Apple device.
Right. Exactly. I think that's another part of the puzzle, because we do have Epic Games, which they're thriving, right? And they actually have a nice store. They give free games away every 2 weeks. They're doing a lot of stuff for the players, and still, they're having trouble bringing people over to their game launcher of sorts, even though this is supposed to be for mobile specifically, right? So it should be a little bit easier. But then the question becomes, okay, are Androids now going to come preloaded with Google Play Store and Microsoft Play Store? Or like, what are we doing here? Like, there's too many options. Before we only had one, and it was easy, and we knew where to go in order to download an app. And now are we going to have like 10 different ones? Who's to say? I just don't see this, I guess, going well for Microsoft, unfortunately.
I think once Game Pass has significant mobile offering, and you're doing your cloud streaming regularly on your phone, and it's all linked in with this storefront, that's going to change the tone of the conversation a bit. Right now, it's a product, or it's a marketplace with no products. But once the products are there and they're compelling, I think people will start using it. I never had any intention on using Microsoft's games launcher ever. But if I want to use Game Pass, I don't have an Xbox. If I want to play Scorn on Game Pass, which I will. I haven't forgotten about Scorn. I haven't forgotten about Scorn. I'm gonna download it through this Xbox launcher on PC. It'll be the same thing for my mobile Game Pass games whenever that becomes a reality, and it no doubt will at some point. So yeah, I think that's what this will eventually be about. But I think it's if Microsoft can kind of breach critical mass with the subscribership on Game Pass, I think Game Pass is going to become a lot bigger than games. I think it's going to become your all-in-one kind of, the Google Play subscription, Play Pass.
So is that really what it's called?
Yeah. So much creativity in the marketing of these things, yeah.
I was like, Play Pass has to be fake.
Yeah. Play Pass already includes like utility apps. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about video games. It's about any app on that App Store ecosystem. So I think that if Game Pass expands into mobile as well, you'll see a similar kind of thing.
That's fair.
Not to say that it'll be successful. I don't think it's going to dethrone Google Play or the App Store.
Yeah.
That's certainly is difficult, but they don't have to dethrone them. They just have to eat up a significant market share, and that can be 10-15%. And they'd still be rocking it. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like I do feel like, per the kind of epic Apple ness of it all, that this space, these effective monopolies in these ecosystems, less so on Android, but still, it is in need of some shaking up and some competition.
Yeah, well said. I agree. I just don't think it will end well for Microsoft.
You just don't think they have a prayer? I mean, they didn't have a prayer with a Windows Phone.
Right, exactly. But I mean, less people love that phone, Ben. So you never know. It might find a niche. Who's to say? We'll see. But I guess hopefully we'll see something like this in the next year, maybe 2. We'll see.
Yeah. So this came out of the all the legal goings on with Microsoft trying to close this acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which it still seems like it will go through eventually, but it's never been less certain than it is right now. It's never been more in question. Mm-hmm. So another thing that has come out of these legal proceedings is there's just this tit for tat where there's the little snipes, but this is all kind of par for the course with the lawyers making their cases on this stuff, trying to get through regulatory approval. Xbox claims that PlayStation, as part of their long-standing contract with Activision Blizzard for Call of Duty exclusivity, of course not full exclusivity, but whatever it was, it started with map packs and early access to zombies modes or whatever it was, like special betas on PlayStation, that kind of they have a marketing agreement with PlayStation that is probably worth billions of dollars over the time that it's been running. And a rider in that that contract is don't put Call of Duty on Xbox Game Pass.
Yep.
So yeah, what do we think about this kind of I guess I don't know what do we consider this? I can read this as PlayStation kind of strong arming Activision Blizzard, but at the same time, not really. I mean, they're pretty close collaborators, or they have been traditionally. They have been pretty close collaborators in terms of the game's availability. So
I just think this is just business. This is just what the gaming industry's been doing for a long time. I don't see anything crazy or wrong about it. But what's funny though is the way that Xbox spun this in the beginning. You remember when they were like, Oh, we're never gonna we won't PlayStation have Call of Duty. You remember they were trying to be like, we're here for the gamers, like we want them. Yeah, if that damn router wasn't in there, it would have been exclusive to Game Pass probably, you know. But it was, remember all that? Remember when everybody's like, oh, they're just so generous, they're just gonna let PlayStation have Call of Duty. I mean, it's just absurd.
I mean, I definitely feel that, and I feel like basically the writing in the contract of, okay, you can't have Xbox or Call of Duty on Xbox Game Pass. I feel like PlayStation is just trying to scratch for anything and grab for straws here, just being like, but actually you can't do this and you can't do this, and then they'll take what they can get kind of deal. Because what they're really hoping for is like, okay, Microsoft, you can't do any of this at all, that'd be great, but we know you're going to do this stuff, right? So maybe you can't do any of this stuff until we as PlayStation have something to, you know, counter Call of Duty, until we actually develop,
Bungie.
you know, SOCOM or something with Bungie.
They would have Destiny.
I mean, they do, but I feel like they're
Military
also trying to
sim.
develop, like an actual military simulator like Call of Duty, but specifically exclusive for PlayStation. I feel like they're just trying to bide their time right now and just say, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this, until they actually have something worth combating Call of Duty on that level, I guess. But this news isn't surprising, I guess. I do feel like what you said, Ben, we're basically watching like two toddlers or two like siblings fight. Oh, but they did this. Oh, but you can't do this, and they're just fighting over the teddy bear, basically.
Pretty much. So I mean, like, what do we expect to happen really here with Call of Duty in the near term? I mean, it seems pretty obvious that the status quo will remain for a while, at least while the existing contracts persist with PlayStation.
I think when this contract expires, Call of Duty is going to go exclusive to Xbox.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think so too. But I think this contract might last another 4 years. We don't know what it says, but even though Xbox owns it, if I'm PlayStation, I'm not going to say, yeah, since y'all bought it, you don't have to honor that contract. Like, heck yeah, you're gonna, of course, you know, you're gonna honor this contract. Yeah. We want this. I mean, so I would be so nitpicky about it because we can't have that. We want to squeeze it as long as we can. But I think that as soon as it runs out, exclusive to Xbox, and then that's when Sony's gonna say, okay, yeah, we have Bungie too. That's exclusive to PlayStation, and it's just gonna get, the console wars are just thriving.
It'll be, oh my God, that'll be crazy, because we just got to a place where, cross-platform is a thing, right? It is all the time. It's just happening all the time, right? We don't even have to think about it. It's a given. And now we're kind of talking about things going back to exclusivity, where everyone's going to be in their tiny little corner.
Like a Cold War. Yeah. Got our nukes pointed at each other and then just waiting.
I don't know. I feel like Xbox will be willing to be like, yeah, PlayStation, you can have it, but for Xbox, we're going to get something
that's what
special,
we think, because that's how they've been saying the right things. But
yeah, they're the nice kids on the block. They're for the gamers.
But as we see, the only reason they're the nice kids, though, as we see, as they have showed us their cards, is only because they have this contract with PlayStation.
Of course, I mean, there should be no surprise,
right?
The thing to me, though, and this is an argument that I just can't talk myself out of. PlayStation is what, a third of Activision's business goes through PlayStation. So for them to so significantly reduce their revenue,
that's the thing.
Just for exclusivity of a big franchise, but
that's what we don't know. I feel like that's just so hard to answer. It's like they got to make a decision. What's more important? Is more important for us to keep feeding them that and getting our little bit of revenue, or cut them off completely so everyone just has to subscribe to Game Pass? What's more important? And honestly, I think in their view, it's going to be, they want more subscribers to Game Pass, and they want that more exclusivity to Game Pass.
I guess you're right, because I mean, they're already willing to eat a lot of, to lose a lot of money to
and you know what? Like, think about it like this: like if this contract does go for 5 years, they could recoup a lot of their acquisition costs in 5 years by letting it. Because it's going to be on PlayStation. So by the time that expires, they may have made their money back from which they probably
70 billion did. I don't know. It's
yeah.
As popular as Call of Duty is, it's not.
70 billion. Yeah.
It's not $70 billion of profit over 5
years.
I don't know. I can see
I don't know, y'all.
At the end of the day, it's a numbers game, right? And at the end of the day, I think what they're going to do is that they're going to do exactly what Sony PlayStation was doing in saying, okay, this is a Call of Duty. This is available in everywhere, right? But on PlayStation, you get this exclusive map, all of this. Now Microsoft can do that and try to gain back some of those players on Microsoft by offering some of those exclusivities on their platform, right? And as they slowly take back the players from PlayStation onto their platform, then maybe it will be worth, okay, now it's only on Xbox since we have more people.
So basically the kill shot. They're saving the kill shot for later.
Yeah, I can see that happening, but they got to do the numbers. They got to find some way of literally stealing those players by offering the extra goodies if you play it on Xbox first.
And then they eventually just say, well, you can have the extra goodies, but guess what? You can't play the game at all unless you come to Xbox.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting.
Oh, geez.
But I think it will happen eventually as well, Cole.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm at a crossroads here. To G4 or to not G4? That is the question.
G4.
Let's just have an ending comment on it.
The question, I think, is always not G4. And someone should have told Comcast to not G4. Because now they've learned that you never G4.
Yeah.
We've all learned that you'll never G4 again.
Yeah, so G4 shut down again.
The one good thing that came from G4 was G4 Spike TV for a while.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Spike?
Right.
Wasn't the Game Award show?
I'm pretty sure it was.
It was the game. Game Award shows used to be on G4 TV, right?
But I thought Spike coexisted with G4. I thought they were two different things.
Oh, I thought they were the same thing. I thought G4 was on Spike. Oh gosh, we're just all over the place.
Yeah, I think
G4 was a network. G4 was a network itself, so it wasn't on Spike. Spike was another network.
I think they bought G4, maybe.
Then why does it say?
I don't know.
Any answer? God. Did you get any answer on that?
So someone can sift through Wikipedia while we talk about it. So anyway, they brought G4 back from the dead last year, and I don't know. I mean, like, they staffed it up with a bunch of people and blew a bunch of money on it and expected it to go somewhere, but it didn't go anywhere. And I don't know why they ever expected that it would go anywhere, just because they had a Twitch presence or a YouTube presence. I mean, it wasn't, but this was clearly content that was not designed for the internet, and fewer people are watching TV.
Yeah.
And the overhead was massive. 200 employees, millions of dollars a year, crazy real estate. So it's like, this was a house built on sand. And the fact that it's collapsed is just, it's sad. It's sad for the people that work there and the people who thought that this was going to go somewhere. But it's like, I don't know. What did anybody expect? What did anybody expect to come from this?
Yeah, I think me and Thomas is funny. We were explaining because we just covered the layoffs. It just happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
So the writing kind of was on the wall, unfortunately. Yep. And I remember us talking about it and saying, well, we'll see how long they last. And only a couple of weeks later is the answer. But yeah, with so many different options now, like, you literally have Twitch, things like Twitch and YouTube streaming, all of that. You can literally just watch whatever you want at the time, and the question becomes, why would I turn on the TV when I could literally just watch anything I want and not what's currently on, I was going to say Spike TV, G4. But yeah, there's much more variety now, and it's hard to stand out giving that cable-like experience when people don't want it anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's the state of G4 right now, and rest in peace, and please don't come back. Please don't try it again, Comcast.
Like, I don't even want a shirt that says G4 TV.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Nobody watches TV anymore.
It's okay. In 10 years, they'll do a remake. They'll do a revival and fail to repeat itself.
Yep. Well, that's the depressing note to end this this episode on. Thank you guys for joining me and chatting about games on this week's episode of The Dukes of Gaming. You can catch us every week live on YouTube and on Twitch and on your podcast service of choice, where we'll be discussing all the week's goings on in video games and saying silly stuff as well. I've been the Duke of Design, and I bid you all farewell.
Peace.